Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Fed Up, your no BS nutrition podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Marie, certified personal trainer and nutrition specialist, working with clients since 2014. After swimming up diet culture's bullshit stream for so many years, I am fed the absolute up with how miserable it's making people feel when we are supposed to be getting healthier. This podcast is here to help you gain your sanity back so you can stop yo-yoing once and for all and finally learn how to trust yourself so you can enjoy food again without fear or shame while still getting to your health goals. My aim is to teach you how to detect the BS in not just the food and diet industries, but in all realms of life, because I know that, like me, we are all just a little fed up. So without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome on back to another episode of the Fed Up podcast. I am so excited you're here. Thank you, loyal listeners, for tuning in again. I apologize for being a little MIA the past few weeks. School is a buzzin'. It is busy, and I love it, and I'm hanging on. I graduate in 10 weeks, which is so insane to me. And being that it is now March, I wanted to do an episode on why I am pursuing my degree in nutrition so that I can become a registered dietitian and really tell you my food story and why I preach the things that I preach might make a little more sense when you hear where I came from and what has really transpired over the course of my life that has brought me to a point where I can study nutrition. And it's funny when I tell people that because they assume I am somebody who only eat salads and I never indulge, or I must eat really clean. And they're surprised when I have dessert and I actually bake for my side hustle and sell wedding cakes, right? And I love to have a frozen pizza, right? So I don't know why people assume, I do know why, that because I'm getting my degree in nutrition, that I must be judging them, or I only eat really clean, or whatever it may look like to you, right? And it is really funny and wild when I'm the one ordering the tater tots and everybody else orders a side of a salad. Because also, it's interesting, I feel a little bit of pressure when I go out to eat and people know who I am and what I do to order healthy. So sometimes I went through this phase where I would almost order the opposite of healthy, and I would almost do so just to make the other person more comfortable, even if I kind of wanted a salad. It was almost like, well, I don't want to order a salad and like a grilled chicken salad because I want them to feel comfortable to order a burger and fries if that's what they want. But I realized then I'm not really getting what I want because sometimes I do want a chicken salad, right? So I'm getting better at just listening to what I want to be eating. And when I tell people that I'm losing weight, but literally yesterday I had pizza because Sunday, Monday, that's my pizza day. One of those 2 days, I'm going to get pizza, whether it's a frozen pizza, whether it's a fresh, delicious pizza. And guess what? I hit a new low this morning on my way in. So it's not that I am a proponent of only eating processed food or fast food or unhealthy quote unquote food because all food fits, right? When I preach or teach intuitive eating, a lot of people think that means that you can eat whatever you want, however much you want, without consideration of nutrition profile. And that's not true, right? So I want to tell you a little bit about why I'm here, what's brought me to this point for National Nutrition Month, and tell you a little bit more about, I guess, my childhood. So let's get into it before I change my mind. So what I really remember is not much. No, so I do have some gaps in my memory, but ultimately I do remember being told, and also maybe I experienced it. I don't know. Your brain ends up filling in memories, right? So take all of this with a grain of salt. And if you ask my brother or my parents, they might have a somewhat different recollection of the story. And also, my story is not exclusively in this podcast, right? I am 33 years old. So there is a lot to this, but let me just give you the gist of it, So growing up, I kind of referred to myself as the food bank kid or a school lunch kid, right? So I ate school lunch breakfast at school, and a lot of times we were on the reduced lunch program or the free lunch program. So I ate 2 meals at school for most of what I remember in grade school and high school, middle school, pretty much my entire school year. And I didn't realize until recently, by the way, I loved filling out forms, but also like my parents were not going to do it. So I would fill out those forms and like my mom would just, give me all the resources I needed to do that and then sign it. And I would get my free lunch, right, for my brothers and me. I didn't realize when I moved out, my little brother, he didn't realize that I was the one who filled out the forms. So poor him didn't get his school lunch. Anyway, I'm not going to cry. So yes, we had food in the house, but I also explain it like, okay, we had kind of like a random ingredient home. So it wasn't an ingredient home because my mom was like baking from scratch all the time. It was just because like, okay, we got some frozen chicken breasts, we got some bread, we've got, peanut butter, we've got jelly, we've got cereal, we've got, canned goods. We've just got a bunch of stuff that you could probably just throw together into like a random meal. But also like what 12-year-old kid is going to thaw a chicken breast after school, right? And I'm hungry now. So we basically lived a lot on like cereal, mac and cheese, a hamburger helper. I remember my dad would make a lot of spaghetti, meatloaf maybe. Every once in a while in high school, when my parents were having a little bit more money, my mom would make like tri-tip every once in a while. But growing up, I just don't really remember like being in the kitchen a whole ton. But yeah, my mom would cook sometimes. My dad would cook sometimes. But my parents and my brothers and myself, we are pretty picky. I want to say even my entire extended family might be picky. My grandparents are very picky. At least I remember my grandmother. She was the type that would barely season the food really and would kind of keep everything very, very separate. She was a phenomenal baker. I loved her casseroles, but it's Midwest plain Jane type of food. So I wasn't really exposed to a lot of things. And I remember I had a relationship in my late teens, early 20s, and his mom was like, I hope you feed your children better than you feed yourself, because I had tried some food and I was like, I don't like this. And they were Hispanic, and not like liking their food or not wanting to try their food is really culturally not acceptable. And also I had allergic reactions to bell peppers. So imagine my ostracization when I was like, I can't eat that. And they're like, well, it's not spicy. I was like, yeah, but it has peppers in it and I will break out in hives. And they just didn't really quite get that. So picky eating being running in my family, but also then being exposed and borderline pressured to be around this other food culture that I just really like. I love like Mexican food, Chinese food, but like my version of that is like, a burrito. And again, I didn't have a tolerance for spice at the time. Or sure, I go to Panda Express and, or like I get the orange chicken. I get the Americanized version of this, not the super spicy actual Thai food, right? So again, I kind of was afraid to try new food. I kind of didn't have the exposure to try new food. And my family really, like, I was the least picky of my brothers and my dad. My mom and I would be the only ones that would try, a salad or something and different fruits and vegetables. But our fruits were an apple, an orange, banana, grapes. Like I didn't try any dragon fruit or acai berries or like all of these different type avocados really we didn't have. And the mushy texture was weird for me. Anyway, throughout my 20s, I started to experiment a little bit more, right? I was on my own. I didn't really enjoy cooking because I usually had a roommate, which I just found weird to be in the kitchen. I don't know. At home, I'm very much more of an introvert, surprisingly, I know. But I don't want to like hang out with you if I don't know you, right? In our kitchen, I just want to like be alone in my room. I'm going to avoid you. And so that might surprise some people. Anyway, so I just never really cooked, right? I would rely a lot on like to-go food. Like I would get sandwiches from places. I would maybe get like a frozen pizza or get something microwavable or whatever it was. Even as I became a trainer, I was like, I don't know how to cook chicken. Like what? Like I'm afraid of this. So I did a little bit and I would kind of get into the bodybuilding world in my early 20s and become a trainer. So everything was like clean eating, chicken and rice, mustard. So I would try that and I'm like, my ARFID was like, no. So I suspect that I have ARFID, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. And this is like, it's an anorexia disorder, but it's not anorexia nervosa. So anorexia nervosa is the eating disorder that you are probably familiar with and what you think about when you hear anorexia. And it's when someone is purposefully and intentionally starving themselves and ignoring their hunger cues in order to stay a certain body weight or lose body weight, right? So, which is, by the way, the number one deadly mental health disorder is anorexia. Anyway, so with that, I did have anorexia, which is just low appetite or low interest in food. My mom used to tell me I was involuntarily anorexic and I would just like not eat. I think it was partially like if there wasn't something available that like again was at my school lunch because I was on the free school lunch program, or if it was at home, like it was just like a bowl of cereal. And eventually like I just got sick of the Cheerios. Like that was all we really had, right? I would go to friends' houses. I'm like, you get Fruit Loops? What? So I think I just avoided food. And really, like, my dad's kind of like this too. I'll go all day without eating. Or I need something that's like put in front of me. And I didn't know that until recently. But that's also something that neurodivergent people deal with is the initiation of actually like making the food, deciding what to eat, creating the food, right? Taking the time to prep the food and putting it in front of you is a lot harder. And it seems really silly. Just do it. But like if you struggle with executive function and you struggle with like initiation and self-motivation, those types of things, that's really hard. But like ordering from the drive-thru or ordering DoorDash, right? Or getting a frozen pizza that you could just warm up. So I kind of relied on that even as a trainer, but I was surrounded by this bodybuilding world, all my clients trying to eat really clean and healthy and like everything's toxic, right? And I was like, well, if everything's toxic, like, I mean, I grew up on mac and cheese and like I look good, I feel good. And honestly, this is really bad, but I was kind of thinking like I eat like shit and I still look decent. And granted, it was because I was just overly hyper metabolic, probably just running around like crazy. But also, I would eat like one meal a day. You know, like I wasn't really eating 3 fast food meals a day. I would eat 1 fast food meal a day, and that would be my meal. Or I would eat maybe breakfast and then like a little bit later. And when I'm stressed or really running around, like it's so easy for me to fall back into that habit. So I have to be really conscientious about like, you have food at home, you can make it, like get off your butt, you know, and I've gotten really creative with being able to have like frozen food and canned food. And like the other day I was so excited. I got a pork shoulder. I put it in the crock pot. I cooked it low and slow for hours and I had a feeling, I was like, man, it just smells a little funny, but like maybe it's because I put apple cider vinegar in it. It's just a little vinegary. I don't know. Maybe like my OCD sometimes just tells me that food is bad and like it's not. And then my boyfriend comes over and he tries some and I was like, can you taste that? And he's so sweet. He was like literally not going to say anything. He's like, yeah, I could taste it. And I'm like, shoot. So then I'm like, what the fuck can I cook instead? Like I was expecting to have these like pulled pork sliders and I was so bummed. I started crying. I was like, ah. And thank God I had like frozen chicken patties or, you know, I had chicken fingers, chicken patties, some frozen vegetables. I had a kale bagged salad. Like I was able to at least pull together something that we could eat with protein and fiber. And then I had like canned, like I probably could have made even just a whole like spaghetti sauce or something. I think I might even have some frozen spaghetti sauce in my freezer from last time I made spaghetti that I could have warm, you know, defrosted or something. So I have learned that I can have quote unquote convenient foods, or I buy pre-made protein drinks so that I can just chug those after a workout. Because if you ask me to mix protein powder and water together, bleh, or making a whole smoothie sometimes takes a lot of effort, right? So having those pre-made options have made it a lot easier for me to be eating nutritiously and not just rely on like gas station food or fast food because I want something quick and easy right in front of me. And my ARFID is like, make it delicious. Eat a Snickers bar instead of lunch. So I've dealt with this different type of eating disorder, not binge eating necessarily or anorexia nervosa, but this ARFID and my ADHD makes like keeping a consistent nutrition pattern really freaking difficult. And then you add in my childhood experiences of like these really kind of processed foods and shelf stable foods, and then my bodybuilding experience of like only clean eating. I was like, I don't know. So I'd rather just not eat anything, right? So then I moved to Montana and I remember I got a job at a restaurant and like half the ingredients on the specials list, I was like, what is this? What is haricot verts? It's just a French word for green beans, but they're like small little, you know, string green beans, and just different words for different things. And the way that they were cooking things, different ingredients like leeks. I've never heard of leeks before. Beets. I've never tried a beet. Like all of these different fruits and vegetables that I've never heard of before. And they also were like partnering with a local farm. And like I grew up in the ghetto. We had a community garden, sure, that like we used to stick our little hands, grimy fingers through to like steal peppers and stuff from the ground. And like, it's mostly herbs and again, peppers and things like that. It's not, you know, like a bunch of carrots and the farms that we have here in the valley. And I never was exposed to like, where's our food coming from? And I wasn't exposed to all these different sauces and ways to prep food. And I've never eaten fish before. So I started to almost be forced to do my own exposure therapy working in this restaurant. One, I was forced to kind of like be around the food, and that helps a lot. If you have ARFID, that helps a lot because I was just around it. I could smell it. I could see how it was prepped. I could see everything that was in it. I could try just a little bit because it was almost required of me. So I kind of got used to the whole, okay, I guess I'll try it without really knowing if I'm going to like this. And it was really funny. I went on a date with a guy and he was like, okay, for our second date, I want to cook you dinner. And I was like, okay, great. So he asked me if there's anything that I didn't like. And I said, I don't really like fish, but I'm trying to. And I told him, like, I really want to like fish, but I haven't been able to find a fish I like. And he goes, well, how about halibut? And I was like, well, we have it at the restaurant, but honestly, I haven't even tried it. This guy decides to make me halibut, ballsy, but it was delicious. I ate the whole thing. I was surprised. I was like, oh my God. And part of me might have been just like, pressure of impressing this boy who made me dinner. Like, I'm not going to be the weird, picky girl. Like, no, I'm going to be a grown woman, you know? And I ate the whole thing. It was delicious. And now I eat halibut. And now, like, my partner will make us salmon. And I'm like trying to like that right now because if you add a glaze, it's not, or a glaze, whatever, it's not that bad. It's still not as good as halibut. But also, I will shoot oysters. What the balls? Sorry, language. I just realized, like, the first few times I tried oysters, I was just doing it almost as this is the craziest thing that I could think of to do that I might actually be proud of for even just trying, right? And the first 2 times, my boyfriend still tells the story. He laughs at me. But now I am like, can we get oysters? And I could eat the whole platter. I just want one myself. And it's the weirdest thing that I would ever have imagined. And I'm still learning to like other things. I'm going on a like little girls' night out for sushi, and I'm excited to try sushi because every couple years I try it and I have not liked it yet, but maybe this is the year because again, I've been working so freaking hard on exposing myself to those things, being willing to try my, new things and try my own skills in the kitchen. And my boyfriend has been a chef for a long time. So like he doesn't currently work in the kitchen, but those skills last. And I love watching him like dice an onion. I'm like, how do you do that without looking so tiny and fine? It's great. And so fast. So me learning how to like actually interact with the food is great. And being able to cook for a chef who does not judge me, but will help me actually improve my techniques. Like, it's great. It's been such a fun learning experience. And I still use canned goods. I still use things that are quote unquote processed. And I also bake from scratch, right? I also know how to make sourdough. All my cakes are completely from scratch. And I still buy store-bought bread every once in a while, right? I still will buy store-bought goods and baked goods because I don't have to bake them. So there's a balance. And I just found that going from like extremely mostly processed foods and like school lunches and things like that, or not eating, to being able to like actually be really involved with my food, it's a beautiful thing. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I noticed all my clients were struggling with, I have to eat super clean and I can't enjoy, Nona's homemade lasagna. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You go to Nona and you eat seconds, right? Like, you need to be culturally aware that lasagna from Nona is more healthy than refusing Nona's lasagna and starving yourself and then going home and eating freaking crackers and cheese thinking it's a complete meal. And also you piss off your Nona. So food is more than just nutrition. And me going to school for nutrition, that's kind of what we learn. Like, we learn about the socioeconomic factors that affect our food choices. We learn about the social determinants of health, where you can think about the people who shop at like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and they can buy whatever they want versus someone in like rural Montana or the middle of Oakland or where I grew up, where, I remember like an Asian little liquor market. I remember like some Indian fast food place. I remember a lot of McDonald's and like a Taco Bell and that type of thing, Jack in the Box. And then you'd have to kind of go a little bit of a ways to go to maybe like a Safeway or a Costco. So anyway, I just think that we have to realize that not everybody lives near farms. Not everybody lives right next to a Trader Joe's, nor can they afford the price markup and the reduced portion sizes of a Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is great if you live on your own or if there's only 2 of you and you're in a higher tax bracket, honestly. So the privilege there, we have to remember, and all food can be healthy. And so I always tell people, like, buy frozen food, buy pre-made stuff once in a while to help ease the burden of having to cook dinner every single night from scratch. But I'm also a firm proponent of being able to cook from scratch, right? Being able to take the labor every once in a while on a Saturday and home make the dough and home knead everything and finally chop all the vegetables that's going in a salsa, right? I think knife skills in the kitchen is incredibly an underutilized and underpracticed skill. And it's not because you're a woman, cook for your husband, or vice versa, whatever. It's because it's a human skill to be able to feed yourself. And it's fun. Even if you really don't like it, it's because you're probably not good at it yet. So you just need to practice. And taking, your own, I don't know, way about things. You don't have to love cooking and do it all the time to just have the skill to be able to prep a few staple items, right? But that's a labor of love, man. One of my love languages now is being able to cook and provide food. And trust me, I'm not the one bringing vegetables all the time to the family potluck. I'm the one bringing the cake and the dessert, usually, again, because I have a baking business. But it's also because I love being the nutrition person who brings cupcakes. I love it. It like blows people's minds when I'm like, nope, it's just regular cupcakes. I mean, I can make them gluten-free, but they have, sugar and everything else in them. I don't put applesauce or any other type of, substitution in there just to be healthier. I don't healthify my desserts unless I'm trying to, have maybe something that gives me personally like, oh, instead of having ice cream, I'm going to have Greek yogurt and some strawberries, right? But when I want ice cream, damn right, I'm going to have some ice cream, as should you. Because when you restrict, what happens? We binge. So I have spent a lot of time battling this, like, where's the middle ground? Fast food, takeout, high sodium packaged foods versus like scratch foods. And I've come to the conclusion that, where I'm at now is a really nice place to be, where I have the skill, I have the love, I have the passion to cook things from scratch. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I love bringing things to a potluck that I can say, I made this, because that's a prideful thing that you should do. But I do not come in and say, well, I made this. It's so much better than the packaged process, and start demonizing all these ingredients I don't understand, right? I can still enjoy, the Pillsbury biscuits as much as I enjoy homemade biscuits. But also the homemade biscuits are worth it. They just feel worth it as in like you feel pride, you feel love, you feel like, you made something. That's exciting. So when I look at it that way, instead of like, well, it has only 2 ingredients instead of 12. I just don't think that that's helpful for anybody. Whereas when you look at it as just like a passion project, and when you allow people, this is what I noticed, is like giving people really strict meal plans or like really strict rules on what to have, what not to have. First of all, it doesn't help. Second of all, it makes things worse. And third of all, it doesn't last. So did I say that first? I don't remember what I said first. I might have just repeated myself. Let's move on. So again, finding what works for you, finding the small changes that, you can make to make certain meals more nutritious, or to include more vegetables, to include more protein, to include more fruit. Those are all really good things, but doing so in a way that's like non-judgmental, that's applicable to multiple different people in different ways, right? The advice I give to one person is sometimes drastically different than the advice I give to somebody else. So because of this aspect of my childhood, and then going into seeing all these people in Orange County completely obsessed with, eating things like you hate your life, and then moving to a restaurant world where everything's lush and glorious, I think there's a balance that you have to find within yourself where you can still eat very nutritiously and deliciously, and you don't have to put yourself on this diet or tell yourself, that you have to be one way or the other, because true nutrition health is being able to culturally enjoy your food as well, and being able to enjoy prepping and cooking your food, enjoy eating a salad because it's delicious and crunchy and fresh and has a lot of micronutrients in it, not because you're just trying to be skinny. So this is where I come from. This is where I be. And I'm constantly evolving my philosophies. I'm constantly learning new things of like, oh, I actually kind of used to say this, but there's something else here that I didn't really consider before. And again, I love being the dietitian to be and also selling cakes and bringing the cupcakes and bringing the cakes in and telling people it's okay to eat this, because I feel like that's a more powerful message. And people typically are actually able to stop at a piece of cake because they're like, wow, I'm actually allowed to eat this. They eat the piece of cake and then they move on with their life, rather than, oh, I'm not supposed to have this. I'm just going to have a tiny little bite. And then they have 100 tiny little bites every time they pass by the cake. So giving people permission, because I know the loudest voice they hear is social media and marketing and the models and GLP-1s and all of the things that we're bombarded with telling us don't eat the cake. And then being told by a dietitian, a personal trainer, a person who's really fit, being told by somebody in a completely non-judgmental, non-binging way, right? I'm not telling you like, indulge yourself, eat all of that cake. I'm telling you, have a slice and sit down and enjoy it. And I get kind of mad when people don't want to eat my cake because they're on a diet. If you don't want to eat my cake because you're diabetic, or you don't want to eat my cake because you don't like cake, fine. I want you to eat or you're, allergic to something in it or something like that. But I want you to eat my cake, even if you're trying to lose weight, because that's actually going to help you lose weight, because you have a little slice of cake and then your adherence to a healthy dietary pattern is a lot more likely to be higher. So instead of restricting the cake and then you buy an entire cake for yourself one day and eat it all, or you end up again eating 100 tiny little bites every time you pass by the cake, you can just have the cake and then move on. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope this tells you a little bit more about me and really what I stand for and why. So I love you all. Happy National Nutrition Month. And visit the Academy of Dietetics online at eatright.org if you want to see some of their resources. And I also love looking at the principles of intuitive eating. And if you're a parent, some of the things that I look at are like Ellen Satter's division of responsibility. It's really nice because this is really helpful if you have picky children who don't want to eat the food you put in front of them. And it really breaks everything down. So this is where I look into all of these kind of philosophies or research practices, methods, and kind of come to this, well-rounded place of nutrition doesn't look the same for everybody, and it can still be really nutritious without being restrictive and boring and lame and frankly whitewashed because someone told you that you're not allowed to have your favorite foods. So anyway, love you all. I'll see you soon. Talk to you soon. Yeah, if you have not left a review, I don't think you have because nobody has. But I see everyone who listens to my podcast. I have some numbers up there, so thank you. And especially if you made it all the way to the end. And please leave a review for me. And if you are the first person who leaves me a podcast review on Apple, Spotify, or Podbean, I will give you a free 30, 60, or 90-minute, whatever you freaking want. 90 minutes are my longest appointments. But if you want a virtual session where we can kind of break down some nutrition for you and set yourself up for success in personal training side, if you want fitness and workout plans, or if you're looking for, again, some mindset hacks for nutrition and a good appointment there, I will give you a nice, good 60-minute for, whatever you want to talk about. So hit me up if you are looking for that. Regardless, I do offer it, but if you leave me a first review, I won't charge you for it. So hope that's some incentive for you to leave me a review, or just do it because you love me. Okay, bye. Thanks so much for being here, friends. If you enjoyed this episode, please screenshot and tag me over on Instagram or leave a 5-star review wherever you are listening from. Your support means the world to me and only helps me get the no BS news out to more people. If you're interested in working with me in nutrition or personal training, check out my programs and courses on my website at KaylaMarieFitness.com and on Instagram at KaylaMarie_fit. See you next week.